back on. Should I have my Fathom in here? Do you have your Fathom in?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna add my Fathom in then.
Okay.
Uh, okay. Is it in? Oh no, it left. Hold on. Why is it not? Oh, it says awaiting attendees. All right. Let's see if that works. All right, let's admit Heather now. Do you remember Heather from Graphics Canada? My tea while I can. Hey, Heather.
Hello. I get my camera to work so I can say hi. What is going on? Hmm.
There you go. You look lovely as ever.
Yes, and you do too. Look at your hair. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Kathy, see, now you saved me an introduction. Kathy, meet Warren. Warren, meet Kathy.
This a women's meeting? Am I in the wrong room?
You're in the right room.
I don't know.
Isn't
I'm
this
getting
the
a
room
little
you always
scared
want to
right
be in,
now.
Warren?
I'm getting a little nervous.
Um, yeah, so Kathy is Boxy Locks. I've talked to you about Boxy Locks before, and Warren is the podcast that Kathy, I was suggesting that you're muted. Um, so yeah, so now you get to meet each other and hear each other, and
What is
then
Botsy Box? Because I forget.
Boxy Locks.
We do deeply personal life milestone event boxes for people and mail them out across the country, personalized for work milestones or personal milestones.
So imagine
Celebrating.
somebody graduates and the whole family can't attend convocation because you're only given two tickets, but you want everybody to be able to celebrate while they simulcast it live. So Kathy would create all the boxes that everybody gets and includes elements that would be relevant to everybody there. How did I do?
You did great. You did great. It's like an announcement on steroids.
So yeah, like chocolate bars, an announcement, or whatever you want to put in the box that means something type thing.
I find out your celebration story and
Right.
then I craft the box and it's completely custom printed box, a custom printed story card with your images, etc. And then I go shopping to find elements that reinforce the celebration story.
Cool. What's it called? Boxy?
Boxy locks. It's like Goldilocks, but with box. Because I find everything that's just right.
Oh, there
Is
you
there a
go.
website?
There is boxylocks.com,
Because the
Boxilocks.
Instagram. Oh no, a Boxy Locks hair came up on Instagram.
No,
There's a
no
Boxy
Y.
Locks
It's not
hair.
Boxyloxy. It's just Boxylocks.
Okay, one word.
Yes.
That's how do
B
you
O
Here,
spell
X
it?
I L O
put
C
it in
K
the
S.
put it
No,
in
no,
the
no. Just
chat.
hello. I don't need it in the chat. Just how do you spell it? Oh,
Boxylocks.
I. Okay.
I didn't mean to hijack your thing, Joanne.
Oh no, it's
She set
okay.
it up. She
Hey,
did it herself. She set it up.
yeah. So hey, Paul saying cool, very nice. Jenny's very ferociously proud of this Stanley Cup winner. She might be the only one on this call, but um, are you going to show off your jersey, Jenny? Are you wearing it? Are you beat red now? Am I calling you out? Oh, I hear papers rustling. Jenny's coming on. Oh, there she is. There you are.
I can't see myself, but yes, I am wearing my Panthers jersey proudly. So take that, Canada.
Really? You want to start with that now? I'm good to go all Trump.
Oh God.
Well, I
This
didn't.
is not a political platform
Well, bringing up the
whatsoever.
hockey is political. Everything's
No.
political. Yes, everything's
It's
political these days
sports.
since you guys want to make us the 51st state. So we're at war.
No, we're
I
not.
come
I
in
think
peace. I come in
yes.
peace.
Not according to Trump. Personally, I don't give a
All
shit.
right, you're gonna behave, right?
Absolutely not. You invited me. I didn't invite me.
I know, I know.
So you know the risks that
Okay,
come with
so
it.
there are a couple of stragglers, but I do want to get started just because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So, of course, I have a little bit of a presentation to open up the conversation. I always like to start with some stats. And oh, Sean's here, nice. We're talking about becoming an indispensable partner and what that means to us, what that means to our partners, to our customers, um, primarily business, but I can see if you want to sort of take a personal partner perspective, hey, a lot of these ideas can apply all across the board. So I'm just going to start off here and there we go. So you should be seeing my little housekeeping slide right now. So yeah, please get ready to participate, wave your hand, speak up, go to the chat, participate however you want. This is your Zoom session. I do enough talking. On the other sessions, I want you guys to really get the conversation flowing. We do have the JGC team in the chat. Hi, Sam. Um, and Carol's back there too. Yes, the recording will be posted to the JGC page on LinkedIn. So please follow Joanne Guard Communications on LinkedIn. Make sure you hit the subscribe bell so you know once we've uploaded content. And of course, you can also subscribe to joannegordcommunications.com/subscribe. We do plan on wrapping up in about 45 minutes, but of course, we will go to the top of the hour if the conversation is as lively and energetic as it typically is. All right, so to kick things off, I always ask, where in the world are you joining us from? I hail from just north of Toronto. I'm in a small town called Innisfil, Ontario. We're actually moving tomorrow to another small town called Holland Landing, but it's much closer to the urban city. So there you go. That's what's going on with me. Head to the chat or just speak it out. Heather, Kathy, Warren, Jenny. Well, Jenny, we all know where you're calling from because you so beautifully showed off your team jersey, the Florida Panthers. So congratulations, Jenny. And Kathy, Heather, Warren, chime in.
Montreal. I was going to give you where I was originally from, but I didn't think you'd like that answer.
A tiny little burb on the Olympic Peninsula in Washington called Gig Harbor.
I am
Heather.
I'm currently down at my summer place at Mimico Cruising Club, sitting in a 41-foot yacht. And this is where I work from in the summertime.
So you're on a 41-foot yacht now of our ship?
Yeah. Well,
Really?
it's a power cruiser. 41-foot power. It's a power boat.
Could I open up an office there too for the summer?
That's why it's all foggy behind me because that's the captain's what do you call it? Cabin and behind me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um, that's awesome. How do you like working from the boat?
Oh, it's nice. I mean, we have a home in St. George, which is kind of near Paris, Ontario, Brantford, Cambridge area. And it's quite a large home, and we move into this sort of small space in the summertime. But we're very active members of the club, so there's lots going on, and everybody's out usually doing something, and I'm usually down down below doing Zoom meetings and searches. So but you
Wow.
can pop
Well,
up and have a cocktail at cocktail hour, and it makes it worthwhile.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Um, I see Sean, Paul, Eric. Thank you for joining us. Where are you joining us from today, Eric?
Kentucky.
I am
That
in
Ron.
Kentucky at my house, my home in Kentucky.
Very nice, very nice. Well, welcome and welcome everybody else. If head to the chat, just tell us where you're from. Like I said, a lot of times conversations goes in the chat, but I'm hoping you guys are very vocal today. So, some stats. I do like to start off with a few stats around the topic. So here we go. More than half of strategic partnerships fail due to unrealistic expectations, failure to agree on objectives, and lack of trust or communication. 73%, so nearly three-quarters of marketers consider managing partners a major challenge, especially if it's not data-driven. 39% of companies don't have a formal partner management strategy. 45% of executives believe that the biggest challenge in strategic partnerships is keeping them active and mutually rewarding. And despite the growing reliance on partnerships, 39% of companies, oh, we have this, don't have a formal, oh, we just duplicated a stat. Well, I guess it's an important one that nearly 40% of companies do not have a formal partner management strategy. So, top 5 qualities of a strategic vendor partnership: shared goals, mutual trust and transparency, value beyond the contract, proactive collaboration, and of course, consistent performance. So I don't want to spend the whole time on slides. As I said, this is your Zoom. So I want to have the conversation. We're going to kick it off. Um, Obviously, what does it mean to be an indispensable partner? What does that mean to you? And if you're not quite sure how to answer, think about your best partnership and what are some of those characteristics? What made that person or team indispensable to you? I remember a time when I was managing print production for a software company, and it was global, and there were different needs around the world. And artwork was being sent over, and I got a call late at night one night because the logo had been sent in the wrong color. And I was asked if this was intentional for the region or an oversight. And thankfully, they called me because it was indeed an oversight. To me, that's an indispensable partner, somebody who's going to catch the mistakes and more importantly, ensure that they've got my back. That's what I look for in a great partner. And then how did you turn a tough partnership into a winning one? So let's stop screen sharing and let's start chatting. Um, what does it take? What does being an indispensable partner mean to you? And I'm just going to pick on somebody. I will pick on Heather. Oh, Warren, are we talking real partner as in shareholder or supplier partner? Depends on how you define a partner. So you may have different needs for an indispensable partnership depending on who that partner is. So, do you want to talk about? I know I called on you, Heather, but since you raised your hand up there, Warren, how would those two differ in your mind of being an indispensable partner?
Well, an indispensable partner as a shareholder is if you're two people as entrepreneurs in a business and you basically have each other's back in that in the sense that you can count on each other, you could trust each other, you know you're going to have good times and bad times. But at the end of the day, you're always going to be good together. When
So,
people you
what makes good good?
What makes, well, I just said, if you trust each other, right? If you count on each other, if each other has each other's back, and you have to be good at what it is that you're supposed to be good at that you're doing together, right?
And is that only limited to shareholders, or does that apply to
Well, no,
potentially all?
well, no, I'm talking specific. See, my next question is, so I'm talking specific as a partner, shareholder agreement on paper, you're getting into
Mhm.
business, you're married.
Right.
If you're talking to me as a partner, as a supplier, I hate that term because my suppliers, no matter how good we work together, are not my partners. Partners are in for the wins and the losses, not just the wins. So you need to clarify what it is that you mean. And a good supplier who's a good supplier or friend is someone who's there who can work with you, who understands what your needs are, who understands you're going to have some blow ups or missing some things along the way, but that's the world we live in, and that you'll get over it and work together. It's an equal relationship. If it's not equal in that how everyone has expectations of the other and vice versa, then it's not really a partnership. But I do not like to speak as my suppliers as partners because that's bullshit.
Interesting. Kathy, I saw you put something into the chat. So, a good vendor partner is also in for the wins and the losses, I think. I would hope that that's the case. I'm curious if folks are seeing the same thing, that I want to see my clients and my partners succeed. So I am there to help them through the wins and the losses, but I do understand that if you're not married to it, you could walk away at any time. Kathy.
Yeah. I respectfully disagree with Warren. think I think the really good vendor partnerships are in fact partnerships, and I hope they call on me when they're struggling as well as when they're succeeding, because I want to give them ideas and help in that as well. I'm thinking of one of my clients still writes about this on their LinkedIn. I recommended they have their very three-dimensional, all different kinds of things going on, special presentation wall that was being revealed the next day, professionally installed. They decided to save money by having their maintenance guy install it. I said, I have grave concerns. They proceeded. Turned out to be a cement wall, and they blew through all of their hardware that they'd ordered. And it was 8 o'clock at night, and they called me, and I came and I went to the shop and I found our overstock hardware, and I grabbed some that I thought would work, and I brought it and I helped them. And they managed to pull it off in time for the big reveal, which her entire job was like hanging on. And she didn't do it my way. I didn't profit from that. And there was no I told you show. She actually said, next time I'm listening to you. Oh my God. But that is where someone's talking about trust. That's where the trust is built, is those moments.
Yeah. Eric, you're nodding your head.
Yeah, I'll disrespectfully disagree with Warren. No, no, I mean, I think if you're so there are different contexts, right? I've been in partnerships in an entrepreneurial setting as business owners, and we were partners. That is a bit of a different context. And I find what's key there is finding people that complement you. Um, my most successful partnership, as most everyone knows me really well, was at What They Think with Adam DeWitts, and we were very different in a lot of ways, but we balanced one another out and we listened. There was a lot of mutual respect. But I think from a vendor partnership, and I think back to my days at What They Think, advertisers for What They Think, like if I were to treat them just transactional, I like there are still people that like I hug and we say I love you. Like that's not just transactional, that's between people. And I think building that trust is like you do business with people at the end of the day. It's not all some of it is just transactional, but my deepest partnerships, I think, from a vendor, from a buyer seller type relationship have been very, very personal, and through the ups and downs, and I've disappointed them, they've disappointed me, and we've gotten through it, but we always have one another's back. So I think cultivating that is super enriching. And I think that's your deepest partnerships are going to be when you deal with that person as a person, find out how you can mutually benefit one another, and decide to walk away and be honest about when you can't. Um, that's at least my perspective. So I definitely agree with Warren. It's a different context in terms of a kind of a buyer seller vendor relationship in terms of that quote unquote partnership, and an actual business partnership. very, very different because that is a much closer relationship, and you've got to find the kinds of people I think that complement you and that what I've always tried to find is people that are a lot better at me at stuff. I find that
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
the
best way to
smartest
go
way to go.
and not be egotistical about that, right? Like I suck at accounting and finance and details and implementation. Like I'm an idea guy. So partner with the implementation person, the person that's really good at finance and that digs that. And together you play jazz, as Kevin and I call it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Um, Paul, Sean, I know you're driving, so I'm not gonna make you interact. Paul, are you good to contribute to the conversation, or I would love to get your perspective here. You don't have to put your camera on if you can.
Yeah, I'm good.
Cool. So what are your thoughts on we'll call it vendor relationships, so we don't muddy that with proper partnerships, so to speak, or marriages. You've kind of worked on both sides of the fence for a while. So what's your take on it?
Right. Well, I think a lot of it for me has just been a kind of a learning process because when you work with people at different job functions, different types of companies, and their experiences come into play, everybody has a different work style and how you interact with everybody else and what your expectations are and how you communicate what your expectations are is different for everybody else. So every single time for me, it's a learning process. It is something new, which is good because it just shows that um, there's like a real uh, different ways that people have, like I put in the chat about how people have different wavelengths, different ways of reaching the goals that you all agree on. It's just it's just different how you accomplish that. And it doesn't mean one way is better than the other unless, there are serious roadblocks that you can't overcome on the way. And if it's something that's like your fault or the other partner's fault, well then, you have to have a discussion about that.
So this is a good segue. Who here, show of hands or had put yes in the chat, has ever had a partnership fail?
Oh yeah.
So how long before it failed, or did you know, let me backtrack that. Were there any warning signs? Were there any red flags? Was your gut telling you something and you pushed it through, or were you surprised at its ending? And let's start there and see where that conversation goes, because this can go in multiple directions.
I think most of the time when you're in a partnership or you're getting into a partnership, your gut tells you. Sometimes you have that tingle and you know it, and you choose to look the other way because it's not tingling too big, right? And you maybe want to do what you're doing more so than you want to not go into it. And then when that happens, or even a personal relationship, it's really just a matter of time before it does come to an end. The longer it takes, the less chance of being friendly after. The sooner somebody owns up to it, better chance that you can move on and be friends after. Those are really the only two ways that it happens. If you're blindsided, it's usually, I would think that because someone did something that was completely off the charts and harmful, that you're not getting over. But you know right away when you're getting into something, um, if it's going to be good or not, for the most part.
Yeah, and I think both things can be true, right? There can be the surprise, but you can also have like a gut feeling, like it's leading up to it, but then there's still the
Yeah.
finality of a partnership breaking down can still be a surprise. In my case, it's happened to me several times. Um, And I think that's kind of how you hone your gut feeling, right, Warren? Like, is the reflection, like, what did I miss? What were the signals that I missed? And then that's how you start to hone that gut feeling. And as you get older and older and more experienced in business or relationships, you start to feel that, sooner than later and not having to reflect as much. But I think there was a really good comment. Communication slowing down is always like a red flag. If the dynamic changes from what it was, that's when you can kind of tell, there's something shaky about this relationship.
Because then when you're in a relationship and on your own at home, what do they tell you? Don't go to bed angry. Solve your problems, but make up before you go to bed. Because if you wake up in the morning and in a business relationship, you don't have that chance usually. And then it goes and then it festers and then it becomes, you bring everyone in around you into an ugly place.
Communications is critical. Heather, you're getting ready to say something.
No, no, I'm just thinking sometimes you enter into a business relationship and everything seems fine. And it's not until you're in it for a little while that you start seeing signs. And sometimes you do want to look the other way and give the person the benefit of the doubt. But I think where it really starts to fall apart is the trust piece. So if you're, with a partner and you're sharing something with them, like you can't say anything about this because of these reasons, right? And I'm in recruitment, so I'm talking about a candidate, but we can't share who the candidate is to the big larger group because we can't it can disrupt their workplace because they're working somewhere else. They could get walked out if their boss knew they were looking for another job, etc. And so you start seeing those, you're sharing that information because you have to within a small circle of people, but then that information is then again shared. So when you start seeing the trust erode a little bit, I think that that's where it can really, really fall apart because then you can't tell that person or that group of people anything because you're going to jeopardize your work and your customers. So
And do you
that's
confront them on it? Like, how do you, let's say that happens, like, what next? Do you have a conversation with them and tell them that they've fractured that trust? Or do you wait and see if it happens again? Or do you just go cold turkey and say, that's it, I can't trust them again?
Yeah, I tend to wait and see if it happens again. And if it happens again, I just don't. I don't need to have a conversation about it because you're not going to fix people. People tell you who they are, and you're not going to fix them. So, I just kind of move on. I just don't share anything anymore. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's
I don't know if that's the best way, guys, but you know, I don't. It's not that I don't like confrontation. I'm quite fine with confrontation and dealing with issues head on if I think that the person can learn from the conversation. But if you already know that they're set in their ways and it's not going anywhere, then it's a waste of breath. And I'd rather be positive and put that behind me and move on to the next thing and just not share.
Jenny, what are your how do you deal with failed partnerships?
Well, everyone's had great points so far. I'm kind of on the fence about a relationship right now, and they basically changed their terms on something and didn't bother to tell me. And it was only when I went to them for something else that, oh geez, by the way, and it just kind of came out accidentally. And to Heather's point, not that I don't want to have confrontation, but I felt like my immediate gut reaction was anger and emotion. And I thought, well, I'm not going to reply the day it happened. I've kind of let it fester right now. And I think long term, perhaps our relationship is broken. But I do like the vendor. And so I'm not really sure how to proceed right now. I can either find a new vendor and take the time to find a new vendor, which is time consuming, or I can voice my displeasure and how I feel with the vendor, and see if they listen and accept that, and maybe modify what's going on. So that's kind of to be determined. But on a positive note, I'm a walking billboard for loving our relationship with Joanne Gore Communications, which has been very, very positive, and she is indispensable in her team. And I would
Thank you.
say
We have that recorded.
yeah,
How
exactly.
much did she pay you?
Nothing.
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 I didn't even pay for dinner. I offered. They wouldn't even
Yeah,
let me
right,
pay for dinner.
But seriously, when we first started our relationship with Joanne, I think we looked at it as someone that could, and I think maybe Warren brought about this point, or maybe Eric, or several of you have said the same thing, that you want to find someone that complements what you do, that offers something. Maybe you're on the fringe of it, but Joanne can just pull it together, at least for us. So it's been very positive working relationship with
So
Joanne.
I have a
I
question.
appreciate that.
You have this vendor that changed the terms, and said you have an option of going out to look for another, which will take some time, or you could let them know your displeasure, which I guess you mean just sit down and have an honest conversation with them. But if they don't do anything, do you think you're going to be able to trust them and want to work with them the same way after?
That's what I'm struggling with. I'll be honest.
Call a new person. You have to do that. I suggest it just to satisfy yourself, knowing what the other. If the other talks the same or you can't get more than you'd like, then you know the devils you're dealing with. But you're always gonna. I think I would always have that little, little spot there, waiting for another ball to drop or something. If out of the blue they made a change or
Yeah,
did
well,
something.
they've done a great job, and I think they'll continue to do a great job. It's just one little aspect of our working relationship, that we thought we were entitled to something, and they're like, oh no, because it changed a while ago, and they just didn't tell us.
They didn't
And
communicate.
so, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Anyway, I would send them a
Kathy, you
copy
had,
of this. I would send them a copy of this podcast so they could learn about relationships, communication, and
Yeah,
working with
yeah,
people.
yeah. Well, I was actually going to take that page from in the beginning, Joanne, if I can get the top 5 things that you
yep.
first flashed on your screen, because I definitely want to
I
share
can
that.
share I can share the whole presentation with you. There's stuff you haven't even, I'm going to zip through it when we're done just so you can see. We've pretty much talked about it, what I was going to show you, but it will, I think it will give you some
Yeah,
arsenal to put into
yeah.
your toolkit. Kathy, you have been desperately trying to
So,
get a word in.
so So Jenny, I've been on both sides. I've been on the buying side and the provider side. I would encourage you definitely to sit down and talk to them about it if you've had a good relationship up to now, and lay it on the table. Like, I this was disconcerting. It's a bit broken trust. I do have people going on me all the time, but I'm loyal. I'd like to be loyal with you if you're in it with me, but this needs to get resolved. And then my other thought was, because when I've been in this, I try to make a distinction. Is it the entire vendor provider company, or is it my rep who has let me down? Because occasionally, um, it's an individual, and if they switch that out, if they value your business and they switch that out, and that new person performs for you, then you get recalibrated.
I like
Great
that.
advice. Thank you.
I like that. I like that idea. It's kind of like, do you cheat on your hairstylist?
I don't.
I actually do sometimes.
If they
I
give
would
you a
like
bad
to.
haircut, what do you do? So okay, I know we're a mix of men and women here, but this is, I've seen these threads on wherever, but let's say you go to get your nails done. I'm not going to say hair because hair is a very different personal emotional thing. but you go to get your nails done and you don't like what they did. Do you tell them at the time, or do you just find a new person to do it, or do you go back and request a different person? Like, do you find a whole new place, or do you go back and request a different person?
I just let the
So,
pink nail polish wear off and I go to a different place.
so I think if you're a guy, you don't go back. If you're a woman, you tip them extra and you go back and keep tipping them again. Because, right? You just,
Really?
well, because everyone has relationships with their hair people, from what I see. They're
No, she
afraid to
said
leave.
nail. She
Yeah,
said
but I
nail.
switched to nail.
Nails, hair, enamel, same thing. The
No,
girls I
let's
know
say,
like who they like and like are almost afraid to leave them, even if they do something wrong. That's why I
okay,
say
that's what
keep
I'm
tipping
talking
them.
about. What does it take? Like, that's almost, Jenny, like what I'm feeling is coming from you. And I'm not trying to make it trite, but it's like you have such a great relationship. They've done something totally wrong, but you don't want to leave, even though you know it's time to find a new partner or a new provider or whatever. Um, to Kathy's point, you might just need a different rep, same company, different rep.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that's a
oh,
qualifier though. If you already have a deep relationship, that's a different conversation than if you don't have a deep relationship and then mess something up, you do probably just automatically move on. But that
right,
relationship basis for not quickly moving on, right?
right. So,
Well,
and again, that can apply for any service or solution type of partner. Jenny.
well, this just happened to me, Joanne, with
Oh
my
no.
hairstylist. And there was something like the last time that wasn't quite right. And I just went to her on Saturday and I said, look, we have to fix X, Y, and Z, or well, it was one little thing. And she said, okay, not a problem. And it got fixed and all is well. So I was happy because I like her and I want to continue going to her. So I stuck up for myself in a positive, in a non-threatening, non-confrontational way, and it worked out pretty well.
And
But
and your
if it
hair looks
happens
and your hair looks
again,
great, by the way.
thank you. If it happens again, I would probably leave though.
So it sounds like that's similar to the vendor that you're having an issue with. You don't really want to. You want to give them a second chance, but in order to do that, you have to stand up for yourself.
Because we're lazy, we don't like change.
Yeah.
Well, I've been on
I
the
don't
other
think
side of that equation. I had an advertiser when I was at what they think super upset with me, right? And it actually ended up being one of the people that, even though I'm not at what they think, I'm staying at her house next week because I'm in the area and we hug and say we love one another because we took what could have been a damaged or severed relationship and repaired it because I was willing to, like you said, Jenny, oh, no problem, let's fix that. Whatever problem you have, let's fix that because the depth of the relationship was there. I think the deeper the roots go, the harder it is to, to pull up to get rid of the tree.
Yeah, I love it. I see there's some conversation about leaving reviews. So that's an interesting one. Do you leave a bad review, or do you only, like Warren says, he's either leaves a good review or none at all. Have any of you ever left a bad review? I'm trying to think if I have or not. I think I might. Yeah, actually, I think I have once.
I
Did
feel
you
like
leave
I'm more
it?
likely to leave a bad review. I don't know if that makes me a bad person.
You just can't leave it in an emotional, nasty way because
No.
when you do read the bad reviews, you could tell the people that are not nice because
Yeah.
they're generally not about what the company or the service is. They go off, well, the delivery was late, or they're not driving the truck. So all people could tell the reviews that are not sincere, the bad ones and the good ones.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so we're a small group here, so I get to do this with each of you. Um, you can do it in the chat. You can raise your hand and say it in 3 words or less. What advice would you give to your future self on building, I'll call it professional relationships and professional partnerships? What advice would you give your future self in 3 words or less? And while
Listen,
we
don't
do that,
talk.
I'm going to queue up the my closing slides, so we're all ready for that. You get to see all the slides I missed. So the red flags versus checkered flags. So things to look for. We covered the one red flag. Tapping into your network, starting with your core crew, your vendors and collaborators, and then your peripheral networks, and how to really continue to build your network. Think of one person in your network you could collaborate with more strategically, and then what's stopping you. So maybe we'll land on this last question, but before we do, 3 words. What advice would you give to your future self on building partnerships? Oh, Heather walked away. Let's start with Paul.
Yeah, definitely about taking the time to do things right.
Take the time to do things right. Love it. Eric.
I said in chat, listen, don't talk, was my future self advice.
Love it. Jenny.
I said open communication. Keep the channels open.
Warren.
Honesty.
That's not
Love
what you
it.
said in the chat.
Well, on the chat I said go fuck yourself, but that's me talking to me. In general,
That is being honest.
Honesty is, to me, what's most important to start.
Yep. Kathy. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
There we go. Define my expectations, listen to that, and give and take feedback. Define, listen, feedback.
Love it. Heather. 3 words of advice you give your future self on building partnerships, business relationships.
Ask more questions.
Ooh, I like that. Ask more questions. Sam, did you want to add to that? I know you're busy in the chat. I know I put you on the spot and you're on mute. So there you go. Okay, we'll leave Sam alone. Carol, did you want to chime in? I want to give everybody equal opportunity. And Carol's muted too, if you're speaking, Carol. There you go.
You know, kind of put me on the spot here.
Yeah, I know.
They're also good, what I've seen so far. Definitely take time, listen.
Yeah.
Take time, listen.
Love it. Okay, so going back to our 3 little chickadees here. Oh, speaking of which, Sam, do you have your chicks yet? I'll give her a second to unmute. All right, we're moving on. If you have a chance later, Sam, just let us know about your chicks.
In the chat, I just have a teething baby. So
Oh,
look in the
okay.
chat.
I can't even see the chat right now. I've got too many things going on my screen, so I will head back to that when I stop screen sharing. Okay, think of one person in your network you could collaborate with more strategically. Does everybody have somebody in their network that they think that they probably could? Hands up if that's a yes. And what's stopping you? Warren, Eric, what's stopping you from collaborating more strategically?
Bandwidth. The people that I'm not already doing it with is all just pure bandwidth.
Warren, you had your hand up. What's stopping you from collaborating more strategically?
Who says I'm not?
Oh, well, the question was, what's stopping you?
Nothing.
Oh, all right. I thought I saw your hand up.
I personally try to reach out to everyone I know if I want to do something or there's something I need or I can use or be better at, and then offer back to them, my being available anytime they want.
So Warren didn't have anyone that he could think of that he could
I don't
collaborate.
need. I got a list of 100 people I can call. Doesn't mean they're going to take the call, but I got a list of 100 that I can call.
Awesome. Okay. All right, so we are coming to the 45-minute mark. Again, happy to stay on if we want to continue, maybe go back to some of those other questions or just continue the conversation. Again, please follow me on LinkedIn. I'm desperately trying to get to 10,000 followers. I know it's just a number, but it is a goal of mine and I work with goals. So please follow me. Please buy my book. And and uh and that's all I have to say about me. Please save the date. July 30th at 12 o'clock. I'm going to be talking with David Rosendahl. He is the co-founder and president of Mindfire, as well as the co-founder of Sheep for Brains, which is a new movement focused on mental health in the print industry. The session is all about leading with resilience, how mindset, mental health, and LinkedIn shape your next chapter. So please join us. Follow us on follow Joangor Communications on LinkedIn. You'll get notified when we have the registration link ready, or subscribe to Joangor Communications, and we will have that ready. I think that was my last one. Oh yeah, that's all about us. So we're good. I can stop sharing. So um, as we wrap up, some parting words. Um, After this conversation, what are your thoughts on having a formal partnership plan? I didn't even ask the question how many of you actually have a formal partnership strategy. I speak to a lot of clients who want to build affiliate networks or build their channel of of resellers, build their sales force. And it's, well, how do we do it? What's going to incent them? What are we going to do? How are we going to help them as partners? So who here has a formal partnership strategy, and who is now thinking, it's probably not a bad idea? There you go, Kathy. Heather. Oh, Heather for sure. And again, I can help you both with ideas. Just try and get on my calendar, but we'll make that happen. Eric, do you want to tell us a little bit? You raised your hand. You have a formal partnership strategy. What does that look like, and how long did it take for you to create it?
Um, I didn't get as serious about it until I joined Tactful and sort of build out what Kevin sort of wanted me to build out and help them. I think it was one of the reasons I was sort of brought on was kind of my Rolodex. So like my first out of the gate mission was like help us with this partnership with this OEM or with that OEM. So it was pretty much right away, and it was just sitting down, thinking of all of the people that I know and considering how we could help them, they could help us, kind of approaching it from a mutual beneficial standpoint, and then just start opening up that line of communication. I'm not sure who said it, but open communication and asking lots of questions, learning. But I find for me, like finding ways, I definitely am a fan of I think it's a Gary V thing. Lots of people kind of talk about this, but like give 4 times before you ask for something. Um, so I approach it in that way. Like, what can I do for you? What can we do for you? And build that relationship on that. But I definitely have a list of people strategically and companies strategically that could help us on our mission going, through our roadmap and approach it very methodically and yeah, working through it.
Do you wait for somebody to ask for help, or do you recognize when they need it and just jump in and
Oh,
offer
yeah.
slash provide it?
I mean, it's probably a mix of both, but I'm very proactive about the how can I help? How can we like what can I provide you? You know,
Hmm.
what can we build that will help you? So no, yeah, I think you got to be very proactive, like Warren says, like have that list of 100 and think through not just, I think you really want to think through not just I mean, obviously in the background, you're like, this is obviously strategic. This is going to help me in some way, but you can't just focus on that. I think you have to make it very much mutually beneficial and even put forward less of what you're getting out of it and more what you're giving. Like I said, give, and then make the ask. And I find a lot of times you don't even really, after that, you don't really even have to really make the ask half the time. It just organically just sort of happens out of that spirit of helping, the spirit of giving. So, yeah, but you have to be You have to put some thought into it. I think catch as catch can is a pretty bad strategy. So I sit down and like Warren have that list of I don't think I have 100 on mine, but I've got a list of like not only companies but people at specific companies. Again, it's all we do business with people. So
Yeah. And where do you draw the line at what point where you say, okay, I have to start charging you for this help? And that's a tough one, especially,
yeah, so
and it doesn't matter what you sell. You can sell software, you can sell services, you can sell it doesn't matter. You help out of the goodness of your heart. I'm very much like that. To a fault, and I've been chastised for it. I'm too nice. I help too much.
same.
But
Yeah,
One
same.
but at
hour.
the same time,
1 hour.
So I think for me, I approach it in the same way that I approach hiring. When when I was doing that, and that is when the pain point reaches a given threshold, right? Like do it yourself until it's just I can't do this anymore, and then hire. So it's like give until you're at that pain point of like, all right, now's the time. And I think that's very intuitive, and it's probably somewhat a moving target. It's variable in my mind. Like
hmm
I
hmm
might ask if I get a certain read on some a person or a company, I may ask that, make the ask quicker. Um, and it's probably varying degrees, right? The level of importance of that long-term strategic partner, you might give more for a longer period of time because the perceived payoff is a lot higher. So it's a variable thing, and it's a gut thing, I think, that you just develop over time. But I think the main thing is approaching it with the right mindset of like, I'm here to help. And then at some point, like you said, you have to get off of the porch and ask for money.
Yeah, I like Kathy what you
You,
put. This is typically a billable service. Let's talk about moving forward. I like that.
or you
Yeah.
bring up I've learned when you start talking, you have to say to whoever you're talking to, listen, I can only do this for a little bit. This is what I do for a living. In half an hour a day, whatever. Are you good to start moving to the pay model? And if they say yes, then you could have a conversation. If they say no, then you have to say, then I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to end this soon because otherwise everyone wants to talk to me for free.
Yeah, I do a lot of coaching and resume reviews and things like that. And on my website I have my services and what I charge. It's not a lot to get a resume done. So I'll do a little bit of a resume review, a quick call, 20-minute call. Here's what I think you need to fix on your resume. You need a branding statement, you need bullet points with metrics, and I go through it quickly what a resume is supposed to look like today. And then I say, and if you're interested in me helping you, build out your resume, here's my website where my services are listed and my and my rate. And honestly, I do a lot of resumes, and I can pump them out in about 15-20 minutes now because I use AI tools, and so I charge about $250 to fix a resume.
Good for you.
Yeah, I think that's a perfectly reasonable model, right? That exploratory thing. And then the follow-up is here's what I can do for you.
Yeah.
And it's there, right? And then you don't have to do a lot of explanation if you've built a good, pitch deck.
Yeah, and I mean, these, everyone can go and figure out how to do this on their own online. Um, and you can kind of figure out anything if you want, but it's time, and whether you just want to get help from an expert, if that's what you want, then you'll pay for it, I think. And I think in anything, like if I I've been doing some stuff and trying to do some branding, and there's a point where I'll have to get it looked at. I'll have to say to Joanne, like, what do I need to do here? And I would expect that, after the initial 15-minute thing, that she'd say, look, I can do consulting with you for an hour or two, and you would expect that. And I think that that's a fair partnership. We're talking about, partnerships. I think it's fair, right? And
Well,
and and Warren and I have had some conversations where I've said, if I do A, if I gave you B, is that something that would interest you? And I think you have to find those places with people, especially someone like Warren who helps a lot of people and helps a lot of young people and mentors. And It's and I do a little bit of that too. So it's a lot of your time, and it's an investment in the future, especially in our print industry, investing in the students. But that payout is, for 4 years down the road, and I'm hoping I'm somewhere in Portugal by then. So, but we still do it. We still do it because we want to give back. That's part of the feeling good about what you do. But at the same time, Warren and I've talked about this. You have to get paid for what you can bring to the table eventually. So.
Well, what's the saying? If you're not getting paid for it, it's not a job, it's a hobby. Or it's not a business, it's a hobby.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me for a long time because there's a lot of things that I have done and don't get paid for, and admitted that, yeah, it's a hobby. If I get paid for it, bonus, but deep down, like what I'm getting paid is not, I'm not doing it for the money. I don't volunteer my time at CanFit Pro for the
I know, but
money.
that's different.
Right? That's
Volunteering your time to do something that you want to
But
do for
even when
reasons.
I was a fitness instructor, I was getting paid to teach. Not that I would teach for free because then I'm not valued, but I wasn't doing it for the money. I was doing it because I loved teaching. And so this and let's not kid ourselves. I got a free membership at whatever gym I was teaching at. So I guess you could kind of say it was for the money,
So
but
just something really important that you said. You said I'm not doing it for free, and the reason you shouldn't do it for free, and it's been proven time and time again, if people pay nothing for something, it doesn't have the same value or meaning as if they paid even $5.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when they pay something, they are making a commitment to doing something. When they don't pay, you're pretty much, for the most part, wasting your time because very few of the people you're talking to are going to take what you say and remember and go and use it. It's
Yeah, the skin in the game, right? I mean, we talked about this when Joanne was a speaker at our OPIA event that we had at the graphics show. And I kept saying to my OPIA team, why don't we charge at least $5 or $10, and we could give that money to the scholarship fund, or we could give that money to EVAs, or, donate it. Because I think people just sign up for things and then they don't, because they haven't
like
made the
print
investment.
shows. When they don't charge, everybody signs up and the numbers aren't the
Yes.
same at the end when the
Yeah.
show happens.
Yes. And they're not real numbers, right? So I think I always learned that. I learned that from my mom, who's in the industry for a long, long time. People have to have skin in the game, and even if you charge something small, people are invested and take the money and give it to charity if you
By
feel
Yeah.
the
like.
way,
Yeah.
you could take them in some cases you could take some people's money and then do something and give them back a little bit later, but they must make the initial
Yeah,
commitment
that's a good
to
idea.
show that they're interested. It's like when
Yeah.
customers would say to me, "Oh, we're making sample boxes. When we give you the order, we get the credit on the sample box." And I'd say, "Well, if your order's 3 grand, no. If your order's 24 grand, then I'll work with you to get you back it." But you got to work with people that understand they've got to be in the game first before you go and show them that you could play the game.
Yes, exactly. I love it. Um, Thank you. We are at the top of the hour. I'm glad we're small here, but I love the way where the conversation went, and I really appreciate everybody's time and input. And again, every quarter we do one of these. So there's one Zoom meetup a quarter, and the next one will be in September. So stay tuned. We'll be posting that, and of course next month's um, webinar is with David Rosendahl, and we're talking all about um, resilience and mental health um, and also where LinkedIn fits in, because let's not forget about LinkedIn bringing us all together. So um, that's all I got to say. Thank you very much for participating, and the recording will be on LinkedIn.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Ciao.
you.
See
Have a
y'all
See you
great
guys.
later.
week. Bye.
Bye.